This call is now being recorded.
This is Randall Rosado, and I'm speaking to you from the St. Lucie County Jail in Fort Pierce, Florida. I apologize in advance for the background noise you may hear during this recording. I'm so sick of the term sovereign citizen being associated with my name by the news media and their fake news story about me, dictated by the corrupt public officials who have slandered me with their hatred of my knowledge and beliefs. First of all, I don't even identify with the term sovereign citizen because it's a term created by the government and law enforcement and used to stir hatred. The labeling of a sovereign citizen as a terrorist is reckless and dangerous. To my understanding, you can't be sovereign and be a citizen because they are opposites. It would be an oxymoron. Now, I did consider myself a secured party creditor because I followed the process to take ownership of my state birth certificate by having it authenticated by the state of New Jersey and also by John Kerry, who was the United States Secretary of State who signed my authenticated birth certificate back in 2014. I filed a sworn security agreement between myself, the live man, and the all-caps version of me created by the government using my birth certificate and social security number. This made me, Randall Rosado, the man, the creditor to the corporate all-caps creation, which is the debtor. I know this may sound a little crazy, and maybe it is. However, I studied these concepts for many years before executing the process in 2014, and nowhere have I seen this information to be incorrect. It is supported by the law in many cases throughout history, dating back to House Joint Resolution 192, which was enacted by Franklin Roosevelt in 1933 during the Great Depression. My understanding of what I studied in a nutshell is this. There is no real money in our country. Everything is a promise to pay. That includes the cash in your pocket. If you don't believe me, pull out your money and take a look. You will see that it says the following. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Think about that for a moment. Your cash, quote-unquote cash, is nothing more than a note, which is a promise to pay. Also, what does it mean by public and private? Why the specific distinction? Are there two different monetary systems? I don't know the exact understanding myself, but I know it is not an accident, and these words have an important meaning. I do believe that our dollar has no real value except for the value we give it, literally speaking. In other words, because the dollar is no longer backed by gold, it is backed by the good faith and credit of the American people through the Federal Reserve Bank accounts attached to our Social Security numbers. Although I have confirmed the existence of my own account, I'm not asking you to take my word for it. Feel free to check for yourself by taking out your Social Security card, which has your Federal Reserve Bank information on the back. There are 12 different Federal Reserve banks in this country. If you look on the back of your Social Security card, you will find an 8-digit number with a letter in front of it. The letter represents the Federal Reserve Bank account that is attached to you. I don't know which one is associated with each letter, but you can look up that information. I do know that B is for the Federal Reserve Bank in New York, and E is for Richmond, Virginia. Now, I'm not saying that you can go into your Federal Reserve Bank and withdraw money from your account because they don't conduct business with individuals, just other banks. But from what I understand, your signature is used to fund loans from that account. So when you get a loan from a local bank or even a mortgage company, the bank or the mortgage company is not actually lending you their own money. Your signature and Social Security number is used to fund the loan through the Federal Reserve, who provides the money. This means you are actually creating the money you are borrowing. Now, this is also why I believe jails and prisons are filled with nonviolent offenders for victimless offenses. It seems they are being compensated by the Federal Reserve every day through each inmate's account. The courts in general function just like a bank and even issue bonds. This would be the only reason why a jail like this holds people for long periods of time on petty charges. Why else are people kept in jail for 60 to 90 days or longer on loitering or trespassing when other counties and states would simply issue a citation? Most inmates here sit for years awaiting trial after having their right to a speedy trial automatically waived by a court-appointed attorney. You see, it's all about the money. The longer people sit in jail, the more money the county makes. And don't think for a second that the taxpayers are paying for this as they want you to believe. If that were the case, there would be no reason to fill up the jail with this petty stuff. This is a huge industry, and these jails are private corporations earning major profits. Arresting people is a big money-making business, and new laws are constantly being created to keep the money flowing. So, so it comes down to these two things. I'm either right about what I'm saying, or I'm crazy and I have mental health issues. One judge in Lee County called me delusional, and the judge who replaced her denied me an evaluation by a mental health expert. So whether I'm right or I'm crazy, I can tell you this. I'm not a criminal. I've done nothing wrong and have not damaged anyone. For them to call me a sovereign citizen and say I don't think the laws apply to me is ridiculous. Prior to this, my only conviction was a misdemeanor in 1991 when I just turned 18 and pled guilty to driving under the influence. That was a mistake I made nearly 30 years ago, and now I'm painted as a career criminal. This is pure hatred for my beliefs. No different than being persecuted for my race, religion, or the color of my skin. I'm basically a political prisoner. Except there is no law against being a sovereign citizen, nor does that have anything to do with my charges. I feel like I'm living George Orwell's book called 1984, which was written around the year 1949. It's eerie how Orwell has predicted the future to what our world is today. In his book, The Government, which is referred to as Big Brother, locks people up for being free thinkers. What they call the thought police reads their minds and captures them to reprogram their brains through torture techniques. My co-defendant Joel Soucy is a perfect example. He blamed me for his decisions in exchange for being released on probation. He called my mother the other day and confessed that the prosecutor told him to agree with whatever they said and he would be set free. So he agreed with them because he was sick of being incarcerated for his beliefs. Joel said he prays for me daily, and I appreciate that. I don't respect what he's done to me, but I understand the pressure he was under. This is the same pressure that caused my wife to leave me after 17 years and many family and friends to distance themselves. The unlawful wiretaps of their phones went on for years after I was in custody. So, Joel, if you happen to hear this, I forgive you. These people are pure evil and would stop at nothing to carry out their crimes against me. But getting back to the secured party thing, you might be thinking, what did I want to accomplish by being a secured party creditor? Really, I just wanted to protect myself from any unwanted contracts being forced against me or my credit through my birth certificate. But mainly, I wanted to discharge debt and gain a greater understanding of private banking. It had nothing to do with being a so-called sovereign citizen. I considered myself a private citizen under the American Republic instead of a public citizen under the United States Corporation, which would be the corporate entity created with my name. In other words, the all caps. I thought that's what public and private was, as I mentioned earlier about what is printed on the money. The United States is public, and the American Republic is private. Maybe I was misled with my thinking, but think about this. If you grew up in the public school system like I did, you likely stood up facing the American flag every morning and put your right hand over your heart and pledged your allegiance to that flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands as one nation under God. Notice that it says, and to the republic. Why is there a distinction? It sounds like the United States and the republic are two different things, doesn't it? And that flag represents both of them. Maybe I am crazy in my thinking, but if it is, that shouldn't be a crime. Even all this negative information about these so-called sovereign citizens, it's not against the law to be one. It certainly had nothing to do with the charges against me. So why was the jury in my trial poisoned by the state and told that sovereign citizens are terrorists who don't obey the law? Even their own witness, Robert Foley, who was a retired FBI agent and former state prosecutor, admitted on the stand at trial that it is not a crime to be a sovereign citizen, as I was labeled. Foley is now a criminal defense attorney in Fort Myers, where he represents the same people he spent his career locking up. I doubt he had a change of heart later in life. He just realized how much more money he could make as a private criminal defense attorney than working for the government. But Robert Foley is as corrupt as they come. On his website profile, he boasted about being the perfect criminal defense attorney because his FBI and prosecution experience have taught him how to engineer a case to ensure a conviction. So therefore, he can reverse engineer a case to help his client to help his clients go home. Now, this isn't my words. This is his words. This is what he said. So it's not about right or wrong with this guy. It's about lining his pockets with money. He has no respect for the law, and he won't think twice about breaking it to serve his purpose. Along with the state investigator, Robert Nichols, Foley and Nichols traveled outside of their jurisdiction to New York to conduct an unlawful search of my home without a warrant. Then he orchestrated illegal wiretaps on our phones, once again, with no warrant. At trial, the state paraded Foley's FBI friends into the courtroom to tell the jury I was a sovereign citizen when they knew nothing about me or the case. They also lied and suggested that I created fake IDs and committed mail and credit card fraud. None of this was true, nor was I ever charged with such things. My case had nothing to do with any of that stuff. It was manipulation to confuse the jury and turn them against me for the results they wanted. Well, it worked. But that's okay, because God is great, and He will see me through this, and He will bring me home. The true criminals and those abusing their power and bearing false witness will receive their punishment from the one true judge. I can only pray for their souls. Well, thank you for taking the time to listen to me and for allowing me to clear the air about this sovereign citizen nonsense. May the Lord bless you and your family and keep you safe during these uncertain times in our world. May He provide guidance to our president and to the state governors in making the difficult decisions to see us through this crisis. And thank you again for your time.